The appreciation of the Ghana cedi against the US dollar has been on the lips of many in and outside of the country for varied reasons. How it impacts their businesses and lives, and whether or not indeed there is any science behind this. Well, that was what we talked about on Agenda on Tuesday, the 10th of June, 2025. We had the economic advisor to the Vice President, Associate Professor Sharif Khalid, in studio, who said that the government knows what it is doing.
He went on a responsible communication tangent to say this is the openness of the market. He, in essence, is a responsible communication trying to curb irresponsible speculation, if you put it that way. You had a finance minister, we had a domestic debt exchange program, a harrowing one at that. We come in, we make real commitments to say, look, we are going to engage our external debtors, we're engaging our internal debtors, and this is what we're going to do.
But the Dean of the Faculty of Accounting and Finance at the UPSA, Professor Isaac Boadi, disagreed.
In this market, when we talk about currency trading, speculations are allowed. But sometimes you have to be careful how you speculate. We had a president who, last week or so, had come out to say that the cedi should be trading around this figure, I think 10 to
12 Ghana cedis, yes.
In fact, I can sit in my home and do same projections. It's allowed. Before the statement, I had done similar projections, and I got a similar value. But the challenge is when you start putting the information out there, because it's about planning. If you speculate, people benefit. Others are also disadvantaged. So I would have loved to have allowed those in charge of the controls to have come out with such statements. In terms of openness of a presidency, I've seen one, trying as much as possible to let people know what is happening. But when it comes to controls, in terms of the monetary policies, and we have people who are in charge, and sometimes we leave those things for them to come out with such figures. If you want to speculate, if you want to do stimulations in terms of what the projection will be in the next 1 month.
It seems the stance of Professor Boadi was shared by development economist Dr. George Domfe.
Recently, Apple alone, Bank of Ghana, $480 million US dollars. They went on to supply 405 million in the month May, when demand for dollar is already going down. And so when you have set environment, definitely cedi will pick up, a higher performance. Do so well. Cedi is doing today is artificial. It's completely artificial. So I would come out to Ghanaians that the real value is supposed to be between 10 and 12. We have seen this before.
A former director at the World Bank, Professor Daniel Kaufman, had an entirely different view about how the panelists were looking at issues.
There's nothing ultimately wrong from a president, politicians, and other officials of joining this conversation, as was said before, and putting these issues and signaling, also for signaling purposes in itself, is okay. But the real issue, from my experience everywhere else, is if a message is being given about a particular range for the exchange rate, what are the measures for the not only short term, medium and longer term, and commitment that is being implemented and will be implemented to back it all up.
Again, for the economic advisor to the Vice President, Associate Professor Sharif Khalid, this government inherited a heated economy, and so instead of criticizing it, the Ghanaian populace should rather praise it for what the government is doing so far.
Time without number. That if you look at the efforts that have been going in, right from the vetting of the finance minister, there's been real confidence. Mind you, we inherited a very overheated economy, right, where all the dashboards of inflation, of currency losses, of profitability of the central bank and everything went south. So you needed to stabilize that. You had a finance minister, we had a domestic debt exchange program, a harrowing one at that. We come in, we make real commitments to say, look, we are going to engage our external debtors. We're engaging our internal debtors, and this is what we're going to do. Even amidst energy crisis, at the time we're taking over, an IMF, a joint World Bank IMF report, a news institution, dated 2024, very recent, if you put it that way, our energy debt was 1.7% to GDP before we took over. So you look at all of these issues happening, and then you have a president, a finance minister, and a central bank governor stepping in to put all of this in place. And if you say nothing is happening, then I don't know what else you want to see.
Now remember that if you were not able to watch Agenda, as in if you missed the show, you can always go back to all our social media platforms, 3 News' social media platforms, to rewatch the program.